One of the questions inside of my interview process now is, tell me what your experience is with AI and how you're currently using it, because that is going to be the future of the workforce.
That's the key to business, is really making good decisions. We've all made bad ones. If we're honest with ourselves, it can set you a year back.
Oh, yeah,
It
absolutely.
can be more sometimes. It can be super painful.
Even if you don't own your own business, is it a tool to give you new opportunity and career advancement in the future? Or is it a social platform for you? The consumers use it as a social platform.
Yep.
The producers use it as a tool.
You could just sit there for an hour and you'd come out and you'd be absolutely smarter.
It is the future of business.
America's backbone was built on blue-collar business grit, grind, and muscle. This is where you stop working for the business, and the business starts working for you.
All right, Blue Collar Millionaires, we're back again. We're going to predict 2026. I know everybody likes to predict. Everybody thinks they're a genius. Well, I'm not going to say I think we're a genius over here predicting, but there are some patterns and some things that we're listening to and watching. And man, AI being one of those, just advancing so fast. So we got about 5 things we're going to run through. Kevin, we'll start with AI. Some of the things where you see it changing the landscape and how the businesses that are utilizing it.
We just did a podcast on AI. The companies that are using it the right way, not trying to like, hey, how do I just not answer phones?
Right.
But how do I use this to make my team members stronger, get more of my ideas across faster? How to develop ideas, how to kill ideas, how to look at, create your own board of directors, all the stuff we say, and make better decisions. Because that's the key to business, is really making good decisions. We've all made bad ones. If we're honest with ourselves, it can set you a year back.
Oh, yeah,
It
absolutely.
can be more sometimes. It can be super painful. I know I did it. I made decisions in over leveraging in real estate that set me back 7-8 years.
Yeah.
Like literally to catch up. So I think the companies that are really doing it on that level and really studying it and spending an hour, it's fun. I think they're going to have a massive advantage over the companies that are just like, hey, write me copy for a Facebook post.
Right.
That's what most people are doing for.
Yeah. I think some areas it's replacing. The technology's there where it can replace. Some areas it's a great supplement. So one of those examples is like a call agent, AI call agent. During working hours, for your local small business, an AI call agent is not going to work. You're going to lose sales. People are going to hang up on it. And it's gotten pretty dang good, but I don't think it's good enough yet for you to have that as your primary CSR. But now after hours, people are already expecting to hit a voice message or a call center with foreign voices on it or something like that. So an AI agent is not an issue as long as you've got a good AI agent and you have it trained so that it can push it into an appointment or whatever the case is that they were calling for. So in those situations, it's a good supplemental situation, not a primary. But like chat bots on your marketing to have instant feedback and speed to lead scenarios, and for it to have a conversation with it to get it into a booking link, I think that's a fantastic primary example of AI being used. And then just a simple fact, like we had spoke about on the episode probably before this one right here being recorded, how you can sit there and have it analyze. You can drop your docs in. It can understand your business. It can help you brainstorm. It can be those board of advisors. It can be your intellectual property when you create those custom GPTs. It is the future of business. And I think the quicker that the companies start adopting it inside of their company and training their employees, their team members, to understand how to use it, not just the founder and the entrepreneur using it, but having their entire team. And I know for me, one of the questions inside of my interview process now is, tell me what your experience is with AI and how you're currently using it, because I am looking for those that are actively engaging with it so that they're already trained up, because that is going to be the future of the workforce. Every position in your company is going to, within the next 12 to 18 months, need to be able to use AI so that you can stay on the trajectory of growth and not get surpassed by your competition that's leveraging it at a high level.
Yeah. Let's talk about worldwide talent. This has been
Subject
around
you
for
know
a
well.
long time. People weren't onto it for a long time. Somebody might say VAs, that's too niche. We're talking about worldwide talent. You have so many people that are so incredibly talented. Back in the day, I know in the 90s, like I had somebody answering my phone in my house Or then there was the thing where I forwarded to their house. Like you felt like you were only in your town. That was your talent pool.
That's right.
And why would you want to do that? Some people are still doing that. So I look at it like you can get people whose cost of living is much less. They're super talented. And a lot of times their cultures, we were saying like a lot of worldwide talent is getting washed away by VA, the lower level. This is true. They're so onto that, they're already skilling up. They're absolutely doing that right now. Whereas a lot of people in this country are not doing that.
Right.
They're going to get run over. Look, it's just foolish to not look at the entire world. If to say, hey, I'm looking for this type of position, who can I get the most bang for my buck for? If you say it like this, in America, or forget about Tupelo, Mississippi. If I said to you, people you know that are really strong skilled, like they're good workers, you'd want them to work. If you got them to leave what they're currently doing, would they be expensive? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? That's everybody in this country.
Yeah.
When you get the person at a portable thing, usually they have a track record of not doing very well. Where you can go worldwide, that's everywhere, not just the Philippines. It's everywhere. You can find lots of people that have really strong skills. You can do it for less. And I just think it's an incredible play. It's just like the NBA, like there's tons of players from all over the world. It's made the talent level better. You can't just say, I'm only picking basketball players from New Jersey.
Yeah, I remember growing up, my dad used to say, son, don't settle because you're playing in a small pond right here. Another way, is you're fishing in a small pond. It's like take that little pond that's in the back in the rural area, in the backyard of a little rural country house, and then you go over to the ocean and all of the different marine life that's inside. And when I started doing the windshield business with you, Mike and Matt, and started realizing how much easier it is when you open up the pipeline of opportunity. And so whether you're looking at it from a, building your team aspect, or if you're looking at finding customers to prospect, leads to prospect, when you open up the quantity, the volume of opportunity, it changes the entire situation. No longer do you have to be hitting 100 all the time because there's so much opportunity. When I was a kid, we lived in Birmingham, Alabama for a couple of years, and the guy that we bought that land from, my dad bought that land from, he had this 10-acre pond, and it was stocked with catfish. And so the gentleman that we bought it from would go out at the same time every day, and he would sit there and throw the catfish feed into it. You would literally, as you're coming across the levee, you had to drive from one side of it to get over to where it gets shallow, because you could walk in from the bank into it. It was almost like it was made to swim in, but it wasn't. And so he would go to the opposite side of where you pull in from to feed it. Well, when you hit the levee, the fish could feel the vibrations, I guess, and you would see the waves in the water moving over to the area to where you fed. And that's what it's like when you go worldwide or when you go nationwide and you start to prospect for talent or for customers. It's like that catfish that I saw as a kid running across the water to the feeding ground, and you throw the feed out and it's literally dropping into the fish's mouths as they're hitting the water, because they know this is where they go and get fed at. And that was opportunity to me, because if we ever wanted to go fish, I didn't have to do the traditional fishing, throw the lure out, hope I'm hitting the bottom where some fish are pulled around. I knew where the fish were at. When I see the nationwide model, there's so much opportunity. I feel like I'm throwing that lure into that catfish mouth because they're just all piled in there together. You don't have to be a great fisherman. You don't have to work the lure. It's going to go in the mouth.
What was the line our partner Mike Jackson said that you said? And then what did he say about that? You either have too many leads.
Oh, there's either a labor problem or there is a
lead
problem. And he said it almost feels unfair. And I said in the beginning, it didn't feel unfair until we moved into this national model. And now it feels unfair, but there was still action that had to be done. They had to go prospect. They just went and prospected well. And now that they've built that system and model, it feels extremely unfair.
Well, it does, but they're using worldwide talent. So they never have a talent problem, a labor problem. The reason I'm saying this, so we have two things. That's why it literally grows every week.
Yeah.
We have more leads coming in, and then we have a whole pool of talent, the world. So we never have problems. We had to hire 3 CSRs like in 1 week.
Yeah.
So how can somebody do that? We calling it the national model, but let's call it the sub-model because that's how I scaled Gutter King. I had an issue, which many of you guys have. I could not find enough talented labor. They're calling in sick. They're hungover. We all know the deal.
And right now it's very fractionalized because everybody wants to go start their own gig if they're talented
That's why
and skilled.
it's a good time. So that had already happened. I saw that, and I saw so many, because it was my own companies, right? You'd have a guy, he's kind of motivated, he's good, he shows up. What's he start thinking? What do I gotta do? Start my own LLC?
Yeah.
These guys are on Blue Collar Millionaire. They're thinking about it, and their employer doesn't know it, right? They're thinking of starting their stuff. And then a lot of guys in our group, they say, oh, these guys are out here, they're chucking trucks, and they're lowballing. Why don't you look at it a different way? Is a lot of them actually are good techs.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily have the business acumen. They're new to it. They'll get there. Maybe they won't. It doesn't really matter for this. And then I said, why don't I connect with those guys? A lot of times they have vans and trucks that aren't branded and everything. And I'll work with them to make sure they have the right insurances. And then I used them as subs. But I did it like 100 times over.
Yeah.
And it solved my problem of I had too many leads, too many complexes calling me. Super seasonal. You got to get them done before the snow comes, especially up north. And then I needed more labor. So I was doing a hybrid where I had tons of employees and then I had these things. And then it was so good, I just switched to it.
Yeah.
So guys who are usually reluctant to that, like, no, I can't do that. They'll mess it all up. You got to change your frame. Lots of subs, just like lots of employees, will suck.
Yep.
You got to find the right ones. You got to work with them. You got to look at them as partners and not some subordinate to you.
Correct.
And when you do that, you can grow much faster. So we call that the national model. What we're doing with, it doesn't have to be national accounts. We're doing both the things, but that's another way to get more talent to do labor. So when we're talking worldwide talent, we're talking more back end.
Right.
Admins, answering phones, doing all this stuff. You don't need a person in your office for 65 grand.
That's right.
You could get 3 people like that who are probably, each one of them's better than that. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
It's just been my experience. I had people like that. In a company I just sold, we let go of somebody getting $78,000 a year doing the thing. She was just getting circles run around
Well,
her.
I've just seen that there's a level of entitlement in our country that's not in other countries. And it's not that I'm anti-American or anything. I'm right the opposite of that. I'm very much American, but I'm also very much business and entrepreneur and opportunist. And when I see someone that doesn't have a level of entitlement and they're hungry and they're disciplined, and like my executive assistant sat there and said, hey, I'm going to take a construction class because I want to better understand what y'all are doing in absolute restoration so that I can help you more on that end of it with those processes. And I was like, holy crap, I never asked her to do that, but she on her own time is going to go do that to educate herself up so that she can bring more value. That's the difference that I see when you start getting overseas. There's a different mindset.
Yeah.
But on the national model side of things, you know, I think once you see it, you can't unsee it. And I have seen it. This is your second time around. This is my first time with the windshield business. And it's such a great win-win handshake between your local guys because they don't have that overhead. And a lot of them don't want to turn it into a big empire and, you know, a Goliath of a company locally. And when you're sitting there feeding them volume, that solves their marketing issue. I remember my quality of work was not a stress level when I was out there with a couple of helpers. When I first started my restoration company, it became stressful when I grew outside of where I couldn't be on the job site with my team every time. When I had multiple jobs running and I couldn't be there to police it, that's when I had to start learning that business acumen with systems and everything. So we are coming in and helping the local guy, and the local guy's helping us, and we're giving the easy button for these national companies. It's a beautiful model. What's next on our list?
Personal brand and social media. Let's give a shout out to Blake Preston coming on our show. He's doing it. He's killing it. Built himself to 35,000 followers.
Like 250,000 views per video.
He's a young guy, I think 25 years old, smart. He just figured out the social media game. And, you know, you look at like what we did. We got almost 300,000 people in Blue Collar Millionaire. So many of the principles he's using, we have used.
Yeah.
It's free. So many people don't use it. They don't want to get on camera. They don't want to put themselves out there. They're worried about what people, nobody cares. It's free advertisement, but you got to do it the right way and bring in the right people.
I'm leaning more towards After he came on, it reminded me of the power of social media, the organic free side of it, not the paid ad side. He's never ran paid ads. He talked about literally how you go in there, you post daily. He gave skills and tactics on how you leverage your posts so that it gets what you want, using local Facebook groups and posting in those and whatnot. And he has people that reaches out and said, hey, saw this post. That's even his follow-up sequence to an extent, because he'll put a quote out, get ghosted, and then they'll say, hey, I've been seeing your feed, because of the way he works the system on social media. And I look at how many thousands of dollars I spend every single month and how many months it didn't produce any leads that were converted because we were testing and trying to figure out, and how everybody's fighting over this Google ads and Facebook ads. But yet you got your guys like Blake out there that's bringing leads in, building a ton of brand awareness because of what he not only for his company, but also for him. So his opportunity is going to increase over the years just because people see him out there making himself. He's showing what he does. He's showing he's an entrepreneur. He's showing that he's in the contracting space and especially the concrete space.
We've never done a sponsored ad. We've never paid $1 and we up to 300,000. I'll get sometimes 100 messages in a week from members. I appreciate those messages, right? And a lot of times it's guys they want help, but a lot of it is opportunity. Hey, I'm looking to buy this plumbing business. I'm in Arkansas. Here it is. It's just opportunity. How could I ever duplicate that? But when people say post every day, post good stuff every day.
That's right.
I'd rather you post once a week and like bring it. Too many guys do too many sloppy things. They throw some stuff in ChatGPT. Nobody wants it. Gets crickets. They do it for a week. They stop. You guys would be surprised. Some of you guys like my posts and stuff. I take a lot of time to write those posts. I come back to it. It's like doing a report sometimes because I want it to be like I'm writing something here. It's like I'm trying to get my thoughts together, but I like doing it. But some of these posts just keep giving. Like it's like a year later and somebody messages me like, hey, I wrote this post. I'm thinking like, I wrote that like a year ago. You never know you're hitting. So if I was blue collar guy posting on my social media, I would do it on my personal page because it's your new website. So you can have your family on there and everything. I wouldn't put any dumb stuff, getting drunk and a bunch of memes about who you hate in politics. I don't understand.
I screen people. When I have interviews, I look them up on Facebook and Instagram, and that's how I screen.
And if that's what you want to do it. But I don't think that helps your landscaping business at all. It doesn't matter what side you're on. But that's a website. I always go on people's thing and I see what they're like, what they're about. We have people coming. I've seen their social media or coming to our event today. We want to make sure that we're like-minded people. So I would go in all out on that. And then you should have pictures of your trucks, your employees doing jobs. And Blake had one line. I repeated it till I like it. Satisfying content. We all like to watch concrete come out and get poured in. I don't know. It's like it. Every one of us probably likes to watch a rehab show. We've all sat there and killed 3 hours on a Saturday. And next thing you know, you're like, what am I doing here? You could just keep watching it. So you need satisfying reels, content. And then you have to become authoritative. Like you're the guy who does it. Show them who you're doing it. And that's your social proof. If you do that constantly and then be yourself. Open up to people. They want to do business with people in their communities they know, like, and trust. They don't want to do it with a robot. They don't want to do it. It's just a free way to get leads. That's why referrals work so well. Social media can create more referrals. It will create more referrals. Like, I would be all in on that.
He came in and he trained BoardRoom Elite, and I'm going to drop 2 secrets for the audience listening on the podcast since they tuned in, because I don't want to give all of his juice away, because he was very gracious to come in and teach our BoardRoom Elite members this. But the satisfying content, the educational kind of project driven. So he was showing a project and he would educate what was happening there. The satisfying content is just that movie of showing what's happening. So in the trades business, it's so easy to have satisfying content that we can film. Like, I think back from the carpet cleaning side, sitting there showing carpet cleaning when we're extracting water on the water damage, when we're installing a roof and tearing off the old, putting down the new. Like, there's just so much in trades that people will sit and take the time to watch. But the other thing is he would sit there and he would get his local groups and he would post in his local groups. Once a week, once a month, he would post a project, some pictures and stuff in there of what he's doing. He didn't pitch them. He didn't try to sell them. And that was exposing that he did that work without being spammy, so he didn't get kicked out of the local group.
Yeah. I'll give you guys an example of somebody who's a friend of ours. He's in our elite group, Steven Sterick.
Yep.
If you watch his content, it is very clear that he's a nice guy. He's smart. He knows his stuff inside and out. I love he does this thing with the camera where you're watching it, but he's talking and he's got his face there. And he's talking about how he does ADUs, or he's talking about what he's doing on this huge Marriott hotel roof. I forget it's my buddy, and I'm like learning. I like it. I don't know how to do an ADU. I like watching it. Next thing I know, I watch 5 of his things. So if you're somebody in Ventura, California, where he's at, you're feeling pretty confident on that. And not to rip on the guys with the political things, but if you watch Steven Sterick, you'd be like, yeah, I have an ADU. He's the guy to talk to. Whereas somebody else, I might not know if you do ADUs, but I know what you think about ICE.
Yeah, that's right.
And
that's right.
That's okay. First of all, you're never going to get anybody to change their opinion on that anyway. But I don't think where Steven's like, he's thinking about his family. How do I get more jobs and everything? And I know it works for him. And he's building, people are going to his thing. They're watching those videos, even if they're not commenting. And they're saying, this guy knows what he's talking about. And then when they get on the call with him and they see his proposal, that just elevated him.
I think at the end of the day, to kind of touch basis between those two examples is, what is social media for you? Is it a tool for your business? Is it even if you don't own your own business, is it a tool to give you new opportunity and career advancement in the future? Or is it a social platform for you? The consumers use it as a social platform. The producers use it as a tool. I'll sit there and watch my friends and videos and I'll get some education. But most of the time, I'm producing and dropping content there because it's a tool for visibility that doesn't cost me thousands of dollars a month in ad cost. And so I think when you look at these things, this is where 2026 is. Businesses that are utilizing these things are positioning themselves for great success, and they will outpace their competition. Because the competition is not strategically thinking like this right here, and they're not looking at what they need to be really focused on and leveraging.
All right, last one. 5th thing I see is the companies that have a subscription, recurring revenue.
And every company
I can
has
talk
potential.
about this every day. They just have, it's just a better model. It's always been, it's a better model to sell. It's a better model to compound growth. The companies that are doing that just have an advantage. And if you don't have that, you got to figure out a way to do it, or potentially get a bolt-on business that can do it. And if not, I did a whole post about this, then you got to get your cash into something that does it for you personally, for your family. But to build your business, that's a better business. I'm not even interested. I don't even look at businesses that don't have that model. I'm not interested.
When you start seeing it, you start building your framework and your buy box, and you realize, look, you can make money doing anything, but there's definitely easier ways to make money. And when you have a customer that's going to come back to you and buy over and over again, that is the definition of easy, because you're not over here trying to kill and eat every single day.
I like Bill Gates had a thing. He said, I like lazy people because they figure out how to do hard stuff in less time.
I like that.
And I always look at everything. I say, what's the path of least resistance for me to get where I want to go? So if it's money, how do I get there? If it's free time or whatever, that doesn't mean being lazy. It's just like you have to take a little bit of thought and think about that. And to me, recurring revenue is just such a better model to get there. You're just stacking. That's why I grew every company in every year I've ever had. That's because of recurring revenue. If you're a roofing business, you could absolutely hit 4.6 million and 4.2 the next year. And you didn't really do anything. You just had that $600,000 job that year. I want the $600,000 job every year. I want the recurring. And then you just add 15, 20% on. And that's when you actually can step away, use worldwide talent.
That's right.
And you can still grow because you have the systems to
do
it.
So if you don't know what your recurring revenue is, go to ChatGPT and start talking to it about it. Here's my business.
Here's my business.
How can I add recurring revenue? What can I build in behind this that makes sense so that my customer buys from me over and over again?
And then how would I pitch that to them? You could just sit there for an hour and you'd come out and you'd be absolutely smarter and have more to do.
Absolutely.
So those are 5 things. All right, we'll be back next week. Guys, check out bluecollarmillionaire.net. We have events tonight. Chris and I are here. We have a suite down in Atlanta at the Hawks game. We're doing a steakhouse dinner with 16 guys. We're super excited for that. We do events. And of course, we have BoardRoom Elite. That's a group, 30 entrepreneurs, high-level operators, great. And there's some women in there. Great people. Doesn't matter if you're a guy or a woman or a man. And then we also meet 3 times a year. We're meeting in Tampa, March 6th,
I'm
7th.
excited. That's going to be fun.
And that's great. We had one in Atlanta in November. It's incredible to meet people, discuss. You got to, people always say get in rooms, but to me, you get around other high-level people. You come off with ideas. You have people you can call. It's so different. We both have that. It's so different than I'm always ripping on your buddies you drink beers with, but they can't help you with their business. They don't want to.
No.
They're just trying to escape
Different
from their
desires.
job. Get around other entrepreneurs who are doing big things. They can be at the same level. They can be higher. They could even be a little behind you, but they're just thinking like you do. They might see things you don't. It's a credible opportunity. And of course, Chris and I are always helping guys in there and doing conversations with guys and trying to get them to the next level. BlueCollarMillionaire.net. See you next week.